starring Bila Day and...
But Ma, that's my favorite movie. Oh, well, all right. But don't you spend too much time in front of that TV, do you hear me? Yes, Ma. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of my podcast. But Ma, that's my favorite movie. And I'm your gracious host, Bila Day. And today is a special episode because I will be having a co-host joining me, which is my boyfriend. Would you like to say hi to the audience?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Okay, so this has been a long time coming. We were supposed to do an episode previously.
Yeah.
But we didn't because, well, it was supposed to be a 4th of July episode, but I decided to scrap that since we were doing Juneteenth this year. So I was like, yeah, we're not going to do that. So, it's led us to here. And this episode title is, would you like to say it with me? But Ma, that's my favorite Disney animated movie. Perfect. Okay, you did good. Okay, I see you. All right, now, if you are a returning listener, thank you so much for coming back and listening to Little Old Me. And I definitely appreciate you. You're a real one. Period. Now, if you're a new listener, welcome and thank you for listening into this episode today. And I definitely hope that you listen to more episodes. But today we have some good content for you, so definitely stick around. All right, so you know what? I am super excited that my boyfriend is joining me today in this episode as we're going to talk about some fun Disney animated movies. Now, the movies we're doing today, I feel like mine is more of a classic. His is sort of a classic. I don't know. We'll see as we get into this. But, who does not love Disney movies? Don't you love Disney movies?
Yes, I do.
And because there's so many Disney movies, I'm breaking them down in different episodes. So we'll have the Disney animated like we're doing today, Disney live action movies, and then also doing like Disney TV movies because you got to break it down because there's just so many and so many different categories, So, of course, like I've mentioned before, these will be breaking up in parts. So just because we're only talking about 2 movies in this episode, it's not one and done. You'll definitely see multiple parts of Disney animated. Because I know I definitely grew up watching Disney. And I feel like I grew up in the best era of Disney, like in the 90s when I forgot what they called it, but it was it was like the staple Disney movies, when Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, I don't know if Cinderella, I don't think that came out in the 90s. But Bug's Life. Was it Bug's Life or Ants that Disney made? I think, it was Bug's Life. So, I came out in the era where a lot of good Disney movies, animateds were coming out. And it was good because, I was a kid, so we was just soaking all that up. And then one thing I want to say about Disney movies is they're great for the whole family. It's not like movies where, it's just for the kids, like adults wouldn't want to watch it because it's goofy or silly or whatever. But the whole family can definitely enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Anything you want to say about some Disney movies?
Other than the fact of they made my childhood great, and I enjoyed going to Disney World when I was in Paris, and I got to see a lot of them, and got to see where some of them were made, and I also got to see some really cool props from sets that were a part of a Disney production when films were being made there.
Nice. So what, they had like a gallery where you could like see the different props and stuff?
Yes, they also had sites. They had to where you could go for certain movies. And for instance, I believe Pearl Harbor might be a Disney movie. I'm not sure or not. But when I went there,
they had the whole setup where...
Not only the setup, they had one of the actual airplanes that was on the film.
Oh, wow.
There.
Well, hold on. Did you say you went to Universal or was that Disneyland?
Disneyland.
Oh, okay, nice. I'm trying to figure out while I was talking, you were just holding back on saying that. That should have been... You could have chimed in with the, haven't you ever heard of, I've been to Disneyland? You could have did that.
But not everybody is a big Panic at the Disco fanatic like you are.
Exactly. But whatever. Okay, so what was I about to say? Yes, so that's super cool. I've never been to Disneyland. Hopefully that's one thing we get to do in the future. So let's okay, well, what we're about to do is before we get into talking about each of our movies that, we have planned to talk about today, I want to properly introduce my boyfriend to y'all. Do you want to tell me your actual name?
Ahmed.
Okay, so Ahmed. So y'all won't be like, oh, Brittany's boyfriend. That's just, I think Ahmed is a lot shorter than that. But anyways, I want to properly introduce Ahmed to y'all. And how we're actually going to do that is I'm going to ask him 2 questions. And this was what I had did in my 4th episode with my dad. I was able to ask him these questions. So now we're going to ask Ahmed these same questions. All right. So just a disclaimer, if you're hearing kind of like this, almost like, sounds like white noise in the background, it is Ahmed's dog. She's sleeping. So if y'all hear that, we just kind of woke her up so she cannot stop doing that. But we shall see. So if you hear that, that's what you know what that is. So anywho, let's get into these questions. Are you ready, Ahmed?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's start with the first one. If you could label your life as a movie genre, which one would you pick and why? You can use multiple genres or you can just use one.
I'm going to go ahead and properly choose the one that suits me, which would be action, thriller, and drama. And the reason for me choosing that category is because of past experiences and situations that I have been in.
Okay. So you're living a kind of thriller lifestyle. Okay, Michael Jackson. Because this is thriller. Okay, yeah. But anyways. So, okay, that's very interesting. That's cool. I like that. I'm trying to think. What are some actual action thrillers?
Sicario.
Oh, okay.
21 Bridges.
Okay. See, yeah, you're more knowledgeable
Jason
in those.
Bourne.
Okay, that's a thriller?
Yeah. Bridge of Spies with Tom Hanks. Let's see what else. James Bond movies. John Wick.
Oh, I guess.
Fast and Furious. I mean, I can keep going.
Fast and Furious is definitely not no thriller.
Rambo.
No.
Scarface.
No.
Goodfellas. Yes. The Irishman.
No. Those are not thrillers.
Yes, they are.
If I look it up. And they don't have thriller in their name? Okay, we'll look it up later. But okay, let's go with the second question. Okay, so what is your first movie experience you remember, or what is the best movie experience you've had? Now, this is kind of, well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I should separate these 2 questions because maybe they're like 2 different ones. But I feel like they could be one and the same. So you can answer both or just answer one, however you'd like to do that.
That is very easy. My best movie experience ever was when Avengers Endgame came out. I could not stop thinking about that movie. Oh my God, I had to stay away from social media. So many spoilers were going on, but you know what? I'm gonna be honest. In my life as a film lover, when that film was coming out was the best moment and the best film experience ever. And I just have to come out and say that because no film that I've ever went to go see has caused so much attention, caused just, so much chit chatter around the globe about one film.
That's very true.
And that's one film that has also changed not even Marvel Cinematic Universe films, but has just changed cinema forever. I mean, that film right there broke box office record in top Avatar and Titanic for the biggest film opening ever. And I just remember being so excited to go see it, and luckily I was thankful enough that we both got to go see it in 3D, if you remember.
And I fell asleep.
You did, which was
unfortunate.
unfortunate.
Y'all fall asleep when the first time we saw it?
Yes, you did.
Oh, wow.
The second time I was by myself.
Because, okay, yeah, I mean, it is a good movie. But it just
good.
has some slow parts where I'm like, okay.
But that's the thing. That's the beauty of a movie. The slow part is what I consider the climax. And without the climax, there would be no film. If you just popped off, this is happening, action here, action there. You want something to drag on the storyline.
No. I get dragging on the storyline, but that's the point. It shouldn't be a dragging the storyline. Everything should be purposeful and entertaining within the movie.
And it was, but I mean, it's not their fault. Thanos was too strong. They couldn't beat him in the first one.
I'm talking about the slow parts. We're not talking about the big. Of course, the ending was amazing. Yes, I love the ending. That was freaking. I was up for that.
I didn't think you were. Maybe the whole crowd
Boy,
woke you up.
I was up at the end.
I think it was the crowd that woke you up when Captain America picked. No, it was Thor.
No, what woke me up was that lady who kept.
Who was it? Somebody picked up. Oh, yeah, it was Captain America who picked up Thor's hammer.
This lady kept sniffing the whole time. Like, you know, when you have snot in your nose and it's about to fall out and you don't have a napkin or something, so you decide to just keep sniffing it back into your nose. She literally kept doing that, and it was so loud. She did it like every 30 seconds.
But yes,
that
film was the best experience of my life. And when they came out with the extended version, and they also had a little, message for Stan Lee, God rest his soul when he passed away, I still went, and it was still just as sold out, and I was still as excited for it as I was the first time. And that's a film that didn't only make me emotional, but it also touched my heart. And to witness something so amazing, so powerful on the big screen in a cinema filled with other people, I mean, that's just something you cannot top,
Yeah, I hear you.
But yeah, that's my answer right there.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to go ahead and dive into these movies here, and I'll take the honor of going first. Just so like our guests can get kind of accommodated and see how, it works. Okay, so the first movie we're going to do today, I normally go straight into the quotes, but I just want to give a little disclaimer here. I have two different quotes that I like from this movie. I will start with the first one and then I'll go into the second quote. Okay? All right. Lights, camera, action. Max, look, it's the Leaning Tower of Cheesa. And that was from the character Bobby, who was voiced by Pauly Shore. And everyone knows in Pauly Shore, not Pauly Shore. Everyone knows in the 90s, Pauly Shore was super popular, and he was like that funny guy in the movies. Okay, the second quote that I'm going to do is, "Yo, Stacy, talk to me, baby." And that's just like from a random nerd in this movie, but I just thought that was so cute. All right, so the first movie of this episode I'm going to be talking about is a Goofy movie. Definitely a classic movie. It came out April 7th, 1995. This movie starts off where Maximilian, which is the son of Goofy, Maximilian is dreaming about the girl of his dreams, Roxanne. In the dream, she's calling his name. He comes to her and he's finally getting this moment he's always wanted. Until suddenly, this once sunny, bright day turns dark with, the clouds casting over, the sky's getting dark, lightning. And Maximilian starts becoming his dad. Like, he's growing out the bucky teeth, his legs are growing out longer. He's basically turning into his dad. And this actually scares Roxanne. And I think this moment, this beginning scene in the movie is foreshadowing to Maximilian's feelings towards his father. The whole thing is he doesn't want to become his father. Okay, so anyways, so then Max is woken up by a call from his friend, and he realizes he's actually running late for school. And then as he's, trying to rush to get ready for school, his dad busts in the door, and he's like, "Oh, like, let me, help you, get your laundry." And, Max is like, he's a freaking teenager. He's not worried about freaking clothes and, doing laundry and stuff. So he's trying to get out of there. But what we're seeing the difference between the personality. We obviously know Goofy. Literally, Goofy is Goofy, right? And Max he's just like a normal kid. He's a lot more serious. He's not as goofy as his dad, literally. So Max rushes to school because this is actually the last day of school. And he actually has something planned to impress Roxanne. So he gets to school and he ends up meeting up with the friend who called him, which his name is PJ, and Bobby, which Bobby is the one that I did the quote for earlier, or the quote of earlier. And so since it's the last day of school, there's actually this, big assembly where they gather all the students together. I guess they just, they're just giving a speech and kind of like a goodbye to all the students. And all of a sudden, Max crashes the assembly and he starts performing a Powerline song. Now, Powerline is the biggest pop rock star of this time, and all of the kids absolutely love him. I guess it's kind of equivalent to like Michael Jackson's fame, or like who Prince was. He's that big. And he's dressed up as Powerline, and to be honest, he looks very similar to Powerline. So like, I know they're races, I'm not sure, I think they're all dogs, but his race and whatever Powerline is, they look very similar. So anyways, he's doing his thing. He's performing the Powerline. The crowd is actually loving it. Now, granted, Maximilian is not the most popular kid in school, but he, so this was his chance of redemption, one, for Roxanne, and two, to, make himself look cool amongst his peers. So as he's performing the song, Roxanne notices him, and she's like actually kind of gushing over him, because initially no one knows who this person is. And he ends up getting hooked to a cord where he's like flying above, or like levitating above the audience. And then at one point the music ends up messing up and the cord starts like spinning him around really fast. And he ends up swinging right into the principal. Now, mind you, when they were doing this assembly, before he crashed it, the principal was like going on doing this speech, but they had like created like this trap door on the stage, and so like as soon as they had began their performance, the principal had fell through the little trap door so they can do the little performance and stuff. But at the end, he does end up crashing into the principal. Okay, so then we shift back over where we see Goofy is at work. So Max just got caught, then we see Goofy at work, and Goofy works with his coworker Pete, and Pete is PJ's dad. Pete stands for Pete Jr., literally. So Pete is bragging to Goofy about how his son has been begging him to go camping, and how he just, he's dying to have like a bond with him. And Goofy lets him know that pretty much, oh my God, my kid would pretty much never want to do that with me, because teens, when you're a teenager, you don't want to spend all the time in the world with your parents. And so then Pete is kind of taken back, like, oh, well, that's a bad sign if your kid doesn't want to hang out with you, because if he doesn't want to hang out with you, then he's going to get into gangs, he's going to start riots, and, he's just going to be this trouble kid. And, initially Goofy's like, yeah, whatever, that's not my kid. I know my kid would never do anything like that. And he's not reading anything into it. And so then we go back to, Max being at school. Now he's in the principal's office and his two other friends are there, and they're each getting called in individually. Now, Max is completely dreading speaking to the principal because, of course, he knows he's going to get in big, big trouble. As he's waiting for the principal to call him in, Roxanne comes to the office and she approaches Max. And they start talking about, basically his performance. And, she's like, saying I liked it. And, they're talking about Powerline. And then it gets brought up that Stacy, who is Roxanne's best friend, is having a viewing party of Powerline's concert that's going to be in LA. And Max says, okay, finds it that it's a good opportunity to invite her to the party, because, Stacy's going to be having this pay-per-view showing of that concert. So then instantly Roxanne says yes, because you could tell she's actually kind of feeling Max. And once, she says yes, they leave because, of course, they got to head to class. And, Max is still in the office. And he starts celebrating. And this is a small victory for him because he's finally going to get a chance with Roxanne that he's been wanting, like, the whole school year. So the principal, he gets finished talking to one of his friends, and he sees Max celebrating. And then this makes him, he makes his secretary get his dad on the phone. So as soon as the principal gets Max's dad, gets Goofy on the phone, he begins to, let him know, like, Max got in trouble today. And Goofy's like, oh my God, is he hurt? Or he says, he did something today. And, Goofy's not used to getting called from the principal, so he's like, oh my God, is he hurt? What happened? And he's like, no, he was dressed like a gang member. He started a riot amongst the student body. And of course, Pete literally just put that in Goofy's ear, that Max, if he doesn't want to have a bond with him, then he's going to get into trouble. Which was very dramatic when the principal's doing that. It's like, come on, really, dude? So then this scares Goofy, and he actually decides that he is going to take a road trip to Lake Destiny so him and Max can bond and he can keep him out of trouble. So initially he comes up with this while he's at work, and he like rushes home because he's like, oh my god, we're gonna take him on this trip. It's summer anyways, we can go and do this. When Max gets home, Goofy springs the trip on him, basically like, okay, we're gonna go on a trip, and we're gonna go on the same trip I went on with my dad. And then Max is upset because he just got a yes from Roxanne to have a date to the viewing party, and Summer's here. Like, no kid wants to, have this, you don't think about stuff like that when you're a teenager. So, of course, Max can't deny or just be like, I'm just not going to go, because he's a teen at the end of the day. He has to do what his parents, wants him to do. So he ends up, they start going on the trip, and right before they leave, he realizes he has to tell Roxanne what happened. So he goes to Roxanne's house, he breaks the news to her that he can't go to the party, and she's super disappointed. And at one point, she's like, okay, well, I guess I'll go with someone else. And then he sees this as an opportunity to lie. He's like, well, I can't go to the party because my dad's actually taking me to the Powerline concert in LA. So Roxanne's like, oh my God, really? Like, that's cool. Because he's like, yeah, my dad knows Powerline, and so that's why we're going down there. So anyways, of course, so he lies, and he goes on the trip with his dad, and of course he's dreading it the whole time, but at one point he decides that he's going to change direction of the map, because he's like, I have to go to LA, I have to keep up this lie that I told. So he's battling, so he changes the route of the map. Of course, Goofy doesn't initially know, but then he finds out, and then it becomes a thing where it's like, he's disappointed from his son. He's starting to believe like everything everyone's been telling him. But of course, at the end, they end up bonding, and this ends up actually being a better experience for them to like get to know each other and to appreciate each other more, of course, because every Disney movie has a lesson in it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into some cast and crew here. So the director is Kevin Lima. He directed Enchanted and Tarzan. And he actually did a voice of Lester the Possum in this movie. So he had like a little cameo himself in the actual movie. Then we have Bill Farmer, who voiced Goofy. Basically, he is the Goofy. I guess all throughout however long the duration, Goofy has been, a character. Or at one point, he became the Goof. He was also did voices in Space Jam as well, and like Mickey Mouse Club, anything that Goofy was in. We have Jason Marsden, who voiced Maximilian. He actually did Binks in Hocus Pocus, the cat, and then he did like a bunch of voiceover work. Then we have Jim Cummings, who played Pete, which was the dad, and he did the voice of Winnie the Pooh, Princess and the Frog, Aladdin, a bunch of voiceover work. We have Kelly Martin, who voiced Roxanne. She also was in ER and Army Wives. We have Rob Paulson, who played PJ, which was Pete's son. He did voice in Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Jimmy Neutron. Once again, another, a voiceover actor. Wallace Shawn. I actually talked about Clueless in episode 5, the nostalgic movies, and he was the principal in that movie. So if you want to know what that actor looks like, he was in Clueless. He also was in Princess Bride. He did the voice of Rex, I believe, in Toy Story, and also did a voice in The Incredibles. So he's like had a mix of being in movies and doing voiceovers. Then we have Gina Voy, I believe I'm saying her last name right. But she played in The Parker. She played, oh my God, what's the main character's name? She played the best friend. She was also in Born on the 4th of July, and she also played in the series Blossom. All right, so the trivia that we have here, the character Powerline was actually a mixture of Bobby Brown, Prince, and Michael Jackson. So they took like all these superstars and they blended him into one, which was perfect. Bobby Brown was originally set to voice Powerline, and he had already recorded some songs for the character, but he ended up being fired due to doing drugs and some of the songs, or substance abuse issues, and some of the songs that he did for the movie, he actually revamped and ended up putting it on his Forever album. And I thought that was super interesting. So I guess they were kind of just regular R&B songs that they could actually be on an album. Burger King released 5 toys featuring Goofy and Max to promote the film in USA in 1995. And back then when they came out these movies, they were super having the toys in the Happy Meal, or whatever version Burger King had of the Happy Meal. That was super popular to promote movies that way to kids. They had Goofy and Max on a raft, Goofy and Max on water skis, Goofy on on a bucking bronco, Goofy and Max in a fishing boat. And then they also had him in a running car. Then Pauly Shore actually asked for his role to be uncredited because he didn't want Disney to sell the movie on his name, similar to Robin Williams' request for Aladdin. Now I didn't really look that up, but I don't know if Robin Williams is considered uncredited in Aladdin, but I guess they still get paid the same, but they just don't care about the credit of it. Now, the title Eye to Eye, which was one of the songs in the movie, was inspired by Prince's song titles such as I Would Die For You. So, you know Prince, you know that song. So, okay, my two favorite songs in this particular movie was Eye to Eye and Stand Out. And they were both written and performed by Tevin Campbell. Okay, and so, like, some of my favorite scenes in this movie, of course, I love Max's performance when he did Powerline. He was super smooth, obviously before, you know, the chord messed up and the song, you know, the music messed up. He was super good in movie. I love that scene. I also love when Goofy was trying to make this baby smile when he was at his job and he'd end up swallowing the squeaky toy, and then every time he made a sound, it squeaked just so the kid, like, it made her laugh. That was super cute. I love the Lester's Possum Park because, like, you know, of course Max is like, oh my god, we drove all the way here, and everything looks kind of rinky dinky, and the characters look kind of like hillbilly because one of the kids, she has like missing teeth, and she's like, you know, yelling out the song and like looking at him. He's like, oh my god, I want to die, like, I don't want to be here. And then I like the part where when Max and Goofy are fishing, they're trying to reel in some fish when they actually hook up to this stake that Pete, which he was close by them, somehow ended up flying off. Bigfoot got it, and then when they landed, the hook got on the stake, they ended up reeling in Bigfoot with it. And then at one point, Bigfoot's like chase him to the car. They get in the car, and then Bigfoot, because they have some stuff outside their camp, and there's these headphones that end up landing on his ears, and then the song Staying Alive by the Bee Gees starts playing. He starts moving his shoulders, and he's doing, like, you know, a little 70s dance where you, like, use your finger to, you know, poke up, poke down, or move it up, move it down, you know, that little move. And I thought that was, like, super cute. And you know what? That is all I got for a Goofy movie. So now we're going to turn this to Ahmed and let him take the floor.
Alrighty. So for my film, I am doing Monsters University, which is based on the original film Monsters, Inc., which came out on November 2nd, 2001. Now, Monsters University is a prequel to Monsters, Inc., and this one actually came out in June 21st, 2013. Now, the reason why this film particularly is my favorite Disney animated movie is because, of course, it has all the qualities of a Disney film. Comedy, life lessons, you know, how to overcome problems. And, you know, I'm gonna be honest, when I was a child, I used to watch this film religiously every single day, along with Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat. But anyway, this movie is about Mike Wazowski and Sully Sullivan. Now, for those of you who don't know who those are, Mike Wazowski is the cute little one-eyed monster from the original film. And Mike Wazowski,
Yeah, you said that.
Sully Sullivan is the big monster with the horns who has the blue and purple fur. Okay, and this is talking about specifically the events that led up to 2001's Monsters, Inc. Now, how this starts off, Mike Wazowski, the adorable one-eyed monster, is on a field trip with his classmates to the Scream Factory, you know, in their city. And what happens in the Scream Factory is monsters go through different doors every day and they scare the children. The more scares they get, the more energy they store in a can. The more energy they store in a can, the more energy and electricity their city has. So basically, you know, they thrive and thrust off of the fear of kids. And so what happens is Mike is on a field trip, and his classmates and the teachers, they're at the power line company, okay? And they're watching, you know, how the monsters do their thing, you know, how they scare the kids, how they get the fear, you know, just different things. And so what happens is Mike sees this one monster who pretty much is the best monster at the company, okay? And he decides to follow him over this yellow tape which he's not allowed to step over, but he does it anyway. He goes in the door with the monster.
Let me stop you at one point, because this is an essential part of the story. The one monster that he loved, well, the one monster you said is the best one. Okay, he is making it a point to tell them what university he went to, of where he learned how he knows what to do.
Correct.
So, he says Monster University. So that's where, Mike is getting that admiration.
That is correct. And so Mike is intrigued with this monster, so he decides to follow him to his workstation, walks over the line, walks into the child's bedroom with the other monster that's going to scare him. And the whole time there, nothing bad happens to Mike while he's in the room with the monster and the child. And once he walks out the door and everyone sees him, and they look at him with such a surprised face, because they're expecting, he's going to make a mistake, or he was going to move, or the kid was going to hear or see something, and basically mess everything up for the monster. But he doesn't. The monster gets to do what it needs to do. And they both make it out okay. And so the monster looks at him and tells him that he has the making of a true monster who can work at Monsters, Inc. And from that moment on, he hands Mike Wazowski his hat, which basically, motivates him to go ahead, get registered, sign up to Monsters University, which he does. And once he does that, he gets there and he joins a club. I forgot the club. What was the name of the club?
Oh, it was like the Scaring Games. Something like that. It was basically like equivalent to like sports in school.
Right. So I remember he signed up for the Scare Games. Mm-hmm. And the Scare Games basically is a tournament they hold at the college, Monsters University, every year to prove who's the toughest and the baddest and the coolest club there is. And so Mike decides to go ahead.
And then also, you can't forget, his degree is in scaring. What they call it?
Scarology?
Yeah, something like that. So basically he wanted to get his degree in, being scary.
Right. And so, once he joins the club, he realizes that the club is, kind of whack. I mean, they're the most unpopular and mostly made fun of people there are on the campus. And so when he joins that club,
baby, that's not no. Okay. So, because you know what, I've never seen Monsters University before, but I did watch it as Ahmed was watching to get, a refresher about it. Okay, so the actual, the Scaring Games, who's, the leaders of it, is the popular jock kids and, the popular girls. But whenever it becomes time where Mike is trying to participate in the Scaring Games, everyone has to pick their team. And the team he picks are the losers. It's kind of the misfits. The ones no one wants to be with, that actually none of them are really scary. And even one of them says how, he tried his bad at scaring and it just didn't even go well. Because all of them look like, the way they talk is nice and they don't look threatening. Those would be the monsters that you would be cool with, or you would want stuffed animals of, because, they're kind of cute and innocent. Okay, and you can continue.
And so once he joins the club, he gets in his new dorm and he gets settled in. He attends the first day of class. And when he attends the first day of class, he meets Sully Sullivan. Now, the Sullivan name runs deep through Monsters, Inc., Monsters University, Monsters City, just Monsters really anything. The Sullivans have been the scariest, baddest monsters of the city since basically the dawn of time. And so once he meets Sully, they really bump heads at first. Sully's big and bad. Mike is, round-eyed shaped, one-eyed, cute-looking monster, and they just really don't get along, and Sully kind of bullies him. And so what happens is they get into a little altercation that basically causes them to get kicked out of the scaring program that they were in. Mm-hmm. And so that motivates Mike to go ahead and join the Monsters game.
And what really motivates him is not only does he get kicked out, because when they get in their little scuffle, they end up bumping into, they have the little statues, the little podiums.
The headmistress.
And each, like the founding scare monsters or whatever,
right?
Or the best scare monsters that have done it,
right?
They have like their first screams. And
they have cans filled with their first screams.
Yes, and so they end up bumping into one of the podiums that knocks over the can. The screen gets out. Of course, this lady, she's feeling some type of way, so then she starts saying, okay, y'all, because at this point, they're supposed to be taking tests to, see if they'll pass the scaring program. Or I think, was it like a pre-test that they were doing at that point? It wasn't like the official test yet?
It was a pre-test to see who qualifies to keep going in the program and who hasn't been paying attention or doesn't know what's going on and who can't continue to take the program.
Okay, so then they do that to her, and so basically she ends up telling Mike at some point that you're actually not scary at all and you're not a good fit for this program. So then that is really what motivated him to be like, I'm going to prove to her that I am a scary monster. Okay, go.
Right, and once, Mike and Sullivan get kicked out, that motivates Mike to train his team to take first place. And the reason why he motivates them, or why he even gets motivated, is because he made a deal with the headmistress of the university. If he wins the games, he gets to get back in the program. But if he loses, he has to leave Monsters University. And since he's been a child, Mike's dream has been to be a scarer and a scary monster who works at Monsters, Inc. And that's what makes him go ahead and jumpstart and start training his team like crazy. And the first couple of games they're in, they do lose. And, they have a pity party for themselves. And they think, oh, we're never going to be good. But Mike enters them in more games. And they end up winning and winning and winning and going up from third to second to first, which eventually leads Mike to getting back into the program. And he proves to the headmistress that he could be worth it and he could work at Monsters, Inc. to be the scariest monster. And after that, I don't know how it ends, but I hope there's a part 3 because, man, would I love to see it. Back to you, Bila Day.
Are you going to do, any facts? What about the crew and stuff?
You know what? Speaking of facts, here's one. That was the best Disney film I have ever seen besides Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so I'll just kind of do the little cast for him. So, Billy Crystal did the voice of Mike. John Goodman did Sullivan. Steve Buscemi did Randy. Helen Mirren. Oh, that's Dean Hardscrabble, which was the one that kicked him out. Peter Sowen played Squishy. Joel Murray did the voice of Dawn. Sean Hayes, Terry. Dave Foley did Terry's voice. There's another Terry. That's Terry with the Terry with the I and Terry with the Y. There was the two-headed monster. Charlie Day did the voice. Alfred Molina did Professor Knight. Tyler Labine did the voice of the Greek Council. Nathan Fillion, is that how you say it? He does the voice of Johnny. So he played in Castle, and I kind of didn't tell you.
And The Rookie on ABC. Catch it Thursday nights on 7.
And just kind of going back, we have Taylor Labine. He was in Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. He was in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. He was in Fly Boys. We have Charlie Day. Oh, didn't he play in it? Yep, It's Sunny in Philadelphia. That's what he's really known for.
And Horrible Bosses.
Yep.
And Fist Fight with Ice Cube.
And Sean Hayes, he played in Will and Grace. Will and Grace. He also played in Cat in the Hat. We have Helen Mirren,
who played in The Good Liar,
Red,
Hobbs and Shaw, Fast and Furious 9.
A bunch. John Goodman, he's known for freaking playing the dad of Roseanne.
Cloverfield Lane.
That
Kong
too.
Skull Island, Speed Racer, The Righteous Brothers, The Big Lebowski.
And then we have Billy Crystal. He played in Forget Paris, City Slickers, When Harry Met Sally. I need to watch When Harry Met Sally. I've never seen that. And the director of this movie is Dan Scowlon. And he did...
Onward, Incredibles.
Well, no, it says he was miscellaneous crew in there. I'm trying to see what other things he's directed.
Right.
He's directed also some other movies. Oh, well, he directed Onward, Tracy and Matter and the Ghostlight. That was a short film. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for that movie. That's all that we got for you today. Okay, well, this brings us to the end of the episode, guys. Thank you again for listening. Don't be afraid to tell a friend about the podcast or a stranger. If you're feeling compelled to, comment, if you're really liking the content that you're hearing. Also, if you have any constructive criticism, I don't mind that too. Also, please subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on so you will get notified whenever a new episode is out. But of course, on all my social medias, I post whenever a new episode comes out. Thanks for listening. I appreciate my boyfriend joining me in this episode. How'd you like it?
I really enjoyed it. I definitely would like to do it more and often with you. And I really enjoyed being on here and talking to you guys. So thank you for tuning in tonight.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode because now we are done. The credits are rolling. The show is over. And we'll see you at the next showtime.